Betrayal is a harsh reality that can dismantle the foundations of trust and love. It's a gut-wrenching experience that often feels like a personal assault. Today, I'm sharing an intimate and painful story, how I discovered my husband's affair with our maid. This tale is not just about infidelity, it's a journey through shock, confrontation, and eventual healing. Join me as I recount this deeply personal ordeal. The signs of trouble started subtly, almost imperceptibly. My husband, once my rock and confidant, began to exhibit strange behaviors that set off alarm bells. It started with small changes. His phone, which had always been casually left around the house, was now a constant fixture in his hand. It seemed to go everywhere with him, whether he was in the shower, at the dinner table, or even in the car. Our conversations, once vibrant and full of laughter, began to feel strained. He became increasingly distant, responding with short, clipped answers. He seemed distracted, as if his mind was miles away, even when we were supposed to be connecting. The intimacy that once defined our relationship began to wane, replaced by a growing emotional distance that I couldn't ignore. At first, I rationalized these changes. Work was demanding, and he was under significant pressure. I told myself that this was just a phase, a temporary disruption due to external stressors. However, a nagging sense of unease began to creep in, whispering that something was profoundly wrong. As weeks turned into months, my suspicions grew stronger. The late nights at work became more frequent, and the excuses for his absences started to feel less plausible. His behavior became increasingly erratic, marked by sudden bursts of irritation or unexplained urgency. He seemed preoccupied, his thoughts seemingly elsewhere even when he was physically present. The maid, who had always been a background presence in our home, began to appear more frequently in our lives. Her interactions with my husband became more noticeable and familiar. He would often mention her name in conversations, speaking of her with an air of casual familiarity that felt unsettling. One day, I noticed that she was involved in almost every aspect of our household. She seemed to be around more often than necessary, and her presence was increasingly intimate. It was as if she was no longer just an employee, but someone who had intruded into the personal and private sphere of our lives. Her behavior seemed different as well. She was more relaxed around my husband, often engaging in conversations that felt unusually personal. It was this shift in their dynamic that began to fuel my growing suspicion. I started to wonder if their relationship had crossed a line, moving from professional to personal. The revelation came in an unexpected and distressing manner. One evening, I received a message from an anonymous number. The text was cryptic and alarming, suggesting that my husband was involved in an affair with our maid. It included hints of secret meetings and hidden interactions. The message was brief, but packed with disturbing implications. Initially, I dismissed the message as a prank or an attempt to stir up trouble. The idea of an affair seemed too far-fetched, and I struggled to believe that such a betrayal could be true. However, the message left me feeling uneasy and compelled to investigate further. Driven by a mix of fear, anger, and determination, I began to dig deeper. I started by monitoring the maid's behavior more closely. I observed her interactions with my husband, taking note of any patterns or signs that might indicate a deeper relationship. It was a process filled with anxiety and doubt, as I wrestled with the possibility that my worst fears might be coming true. The investigation was a meticulous and emotionally draining process. I began by examining phone records, searching for any evidence of communication between my husband and the maid. The results were deeply unsettling. There were numerous calls and texts exchanged late into the night, often at times when he was supposedly working or out of the house. The frequency and timing of these communications seemed suspicious. The messages were not just casual, but often contained intimate or suggestive content. Each revelation felt like a knife twisting deeper into my heart, confirming the suspicions that had been brewing for months. Next, I turned to our home security footage. Reviewing the footage was both revealing and distressing. The maid made frequent visits to our home during late hours, often when she was supposed to be off duty. These visits were inconsistent with her official schedule and suggested a level of intimacy that went beyond professional boundaries. Financial records added another layer of concern. I discovered unexplained expenditures that aligned with the timing of these late-night interactions. The financial discrepancies further corroborated the suspicions I had been harboring. Each piece of evidence seemed to confirm the betrayal, painting a clear and distressing picture. With the evidence in hand, I faced the excruciating task of confronting my husband. It was a moment filled with raw emotion and intense confrontation. I gathered all the information I had collected, phone records, security footage, and financial discrepancies, and prepared for what would be one of the most painful conversations of my life. The confrontation was emotionally charged. My husband's initial reaction was one of defensive denial. He attempted to deflect and minimize the evidence, arguing that the calls and messages were harmless, and that his late-night meetings with the maid were purely professional. But as I presented each piece of evidence, his demeanor shifted. The guilt in his eyes was unmistakable, and his attempts at justification fell flat. He eventually admitted to the affair, revealing that his relationship with the maid had evolved beyond the professional realm. His confession was a devastating blow. The conversation was filled with pain and disillusionment. His explanations and justifications seemed hollow in the face of the betrayal I had experienced. The admission of infidelity was a crushing blow to my sense of trust and security. It was a moment of profound disillusionment, as the reality of his betrayal set in. The emotional weight of the conversation was overwhelming, leaving me to grapple with the harsh truths and the future of our relationship. The aftermath of such a betrayal is a tumultuous and emotionally charged journey. The initial shock gave way to a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, and self-doubt. The trust that had been the foundation of our relationship was shattered, and I found myself struggling to make sense of the situation. Navigating through this period required deep personal reflection and seeking support from various sources. I reached out to friends and family, seeking comfort and advice. The support of loved ones was invaluable, providing a source of strength during this difficult time. Professional counseling became an important part of my healing process, offering a safe space to process my emotions and work through the trauma of betrayal. Rebuilding trust, whether within the relationship or with oneself, is a long and challenging journey. It involves honest conversations, setting clear boundaries, and making difficult decisions about the future. For me, it meant reevaluating what I wanted and needed in my life, and making choices that aligned with my well-being and future happiness. The process of healing was gradual and required a great deal of self-care. It involved acknowledging and processing the pain, finding ways to move forward, and rebuilding a sense of self-worth. It was a journey of personal growth and resilience, navigating the path from heartbreak to healing. Healing from betrayal is a complex process that involves both emotional and practical steps. It requires a focus on self-care and personal growth. I dedicated time to self-reflection, exploring my own needs and desires, and setting new goals for my life. It was a time to reassess what was truly important and to prioritize my own well-being. Forgiveness, if and when it comes, is a deeply personal decision. For some, it may involve working through the pain and rebuilding the relationship. For others, it may mean choosing to move on and start anew. In my case, it required a careful evaluation of whether the relationship could be repaired or if it was time to let go. Moving forward involved embracing a future that was no longer defined by past betrayal. It meant finding closure and peace, reclaiming control over my own life and happiness. It was a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, learning to navigate the future with renewed strength and clarity. Reflecting on the experience, I realized that betrayal, while deeply painful, also offers valuable lessons. It's a reminder of the importance of trust, communication, and vigilance in relationships. It taught me about the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity for growth, even in the face of adversity. One of the key lessons was the importance of listening to one's instincts and addressing concerns before they escalate. It's crucial to maintain open and honest communication within relationships and to be aware of any signs of trouble. Trust and transparency are the cornerstones of a healthy relationship, and addressing issues early can prevent deeper betrayals. Additionally, the experience highlighted the value of self-care and seeking support. It's important to surround oneself with supportive people and to seek professional help when needed. Healing is a process that requires patience and compassion towards oneself. As I moved forward, I found strength in embracing new opportunities and focusing on personal growth. It was a time to explore new interests, pursue passions, and build a future that was aligned with my own values and desires. Embracing change and looking forward to new possibilities became a central part of my healing journey. The experience of betrayal, though painful, ultimately led to a deeper understanding of myself and a renewed sense of purpose. It was a catalyst for change, prompting me to reevaluate my life and make choices that were true to who I am. If you find yourself facing a similar situation, remember that you are not alone. There is a path forward, even through the darkest times. Embrace the journey of healing, seek support, and trust in your own strength to navigate through the challenges. Thank you for joining me on this deeply personal journey. If you've experienced something similar or have thoughts to share, please leave a comment below. Your support and experiences can offer strength to others going through similar challenges. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and stay connected.